another one that just kind of abrupt ending. It is Wednesday night again. This is the Wednesday night mouse party, and tonight we've got gun websites. How's it going, G-Webs?
Good. I was just outside getting my dinner. I left outside to keep cool.
And Gizzard Gary, how you doing, Gizzard?
I'm doing all right. Thank you very much, kind sir. Thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem. And there's a link pinned at the top of the chat for this week's poll, which we'll look at here in just a little bit. If you haven't voted in it, head over there and vote. And so far out there, New York Outcast was out there earlier. He's probably gone to bed already. Sergeant Joe Smith and Carlos, who I believe is the formerly known as Optimus Prime Rip. So good evening. Oh, I remembered. Hang on.
It's not that New York Outcast goes to sleep this early. It's just that in New York, unless you have a high enough social content score or social media score, or whatever it is, then you're not allowed to be on that night.
At the bottom of the screen, there's an email address and a link. You can send in comments, suggestions, or pictures within reason. And if you watch this in replay, leave a comment. Whatever we talk about, agree with, disagree with. I think we left out. Let me know. I always read the comments, and they are always appreciated. After Saturdays, after the overnight on Saturday, I was making some eggs, and I thought, well, I'll watch a movie while I'm eating. So I was going to watch the Godzilla -1, and you know, while I'm doing stuff, and got it on Prime, and
then you figure out you had to read all of it.
Well, start watching it, and I'm like, why are there American soldiers? It's kind of a small town with American soldiers. This is supposed to be Japanese soldiers. What? And watching for a little bit, and like, this is really slow. Let's get to the Godzilla. And it's going, and it's you know, and I'm like, God, these actors are terrible. And they're gonna get called up to Afghanistan, and I rented the wrong movie. I rented -0.
Oh, that's a whole nother movie.
Yeah, it's an small independent movie with not so good actors and really slow plot. So, you know, I fast forward about halfway through the movie, and there's still no Godzilla, and I'm like, what the hell? I backed out of the movie. It's, oh crap! I was doing too many things, and Prime does not have the Godzilla -1. Because when I typed that in, I saw, you know, the first one said -0, and I wasn't paying enough attention. I just saw the minus and clicked on it.
When that happens, does Amazon give you your money back?
I didn't ask. You know, I'm the one that chose. So I ended up watching Dune instead, the new Dune.
Bull. Throw up in my mouth.
It was okay. It follows the book. Pretty.
The book is about like space monarchies, and this turns it into like the rich versus the poor. Like this just turns it into like, I just hate this movie. It's like, so it dumbed it down so much into like bad people are bad or rich people are bad. That's it. Like that was the whole movie. Rich people are bad. Did you watch the first part or both parts?
Just the first part.
Yeah, there's 2 parts. So you have to watch the other part to get the other half of the movie. And it's like altogether, it's like 3/4 of the actual movie, like the first movie that they made back in the day. Yeah. And then like there's a other things that make a little bit more than the first movie, but so that I don't ask them to do more
Well,
than the first movie, but they only did about 3/4 of even the first movie.
it stops about where the first book stops. The movie goes a little farther than the book does.
Oh, okay.
Because I listened to the audiobook after watching that.
Oh, how long does that take?
It is 8 hours.
Oh, so it's abridged or whatever.
Um,
Because that would take like 25 days or something to listen to that whole book for real.
the first one,
Yeah, like
'Cause there-
Dune is like a telephone book if I remember it right. It's
because
huge.
there's Dune, and then there's Dune Moadib, something Moadib, and then there's the third one was Children of Dune.
I only
All
barely
all
read.
3 of those together, yeah, that's gonna be your like 25 hours.
But I mean, it's all right. But I like Dune too much to like that movie. So I think they took a movie that was kind of cool from the 80s, I guess, and it's like cool to like the 80s now. So they were like, oh yeah, it'll be cool. Everybody will like this. And then they put that girl from Spider-Man in it.
I
And
don't like her.
yeah,
I'm
she's
not a
okay
fan
or
of her.
whatever, but she's not great. And she certainly isn't like a sci-fi. She doesn't do anything. She just acts like normal. She's just a girl standing there. She doesn't do anything to be an actor. But the worst part is like I mean, isn't Dune about spice and in the desert and like the whole anyway? There's so much to it. They cut out all the worm essentially. Like there's no worms in it, which is a giant part of it. There's no spice. It's not about spice. Spice are like a drug, and in this one, and it's like a sideline. Like it's just a minor plot device or whatever.
What they
The
did
shield fight.
they did do a pretty good job in the first movie, the new first movie, following the book, because there's not a lot with the worms in the book, and they follow the book pretty accurately. There is some changes like Duncan Idaho being Aquaman. He is not good in that movie. I didn't think it's the character is wrong the way they have it in the movie because he's older. He's like an old veteran in the book. Jason Momoa, that's who it is. And then their shields, their personal shield things are shit. Everybody dies. They don't do anything. It's supposed to be, even in the book, they're kind of useless, but you can get through them if you go slowly. But in the movie, they're fighting hand to hand, and then he's killing people left and right.
Yeah.
And then also, spoiler alert, in the book, when the Harkonnens come back and invade, in the first movie, well, in the 80s movie, and then in this one, it's an attack, but in the book, they drug like the Paul and his mother, and they're just kind of there all of a sudden because the doctor betrays them, and then also in the book, from the start that the doctor's gonna betray him. Where in the movies, it's kind of a surprise. It's supposed to be a surprise that the doctor's a traitor.
Yeah, but you can't make it a surprise in the second movie, so they just kind of blew it off. Yeah, it was sad.
But like I said, they do stay pretty accurate to the book for the most part. The bad guy Duke, the Harkonnen, in the book, the character is a lot better. He has a lot more exposition in the book, but I thought the movie was okay. The guy who plays Paul kind of goes back and forth between being annoying and being all right.
Yeah, that's all he can do is barely get all right. And in the movie, those suits that store water, they're really like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, your suit will make water, no big deal. Let's keep going. Like they just take a bunch of shit for granted, and they don't even try to make a ding thing about it. When I forget how it goes, but they pretty much go out at some point to. I think they go out to get spice again, and then the worm comes and gets the one ship, and then that it's just in the movie they make it just seem. I don't know. I didn't think it was a great portrayal or whatever. I think they phoned it in. Yes.
It was like it wasn't. Well, there is a little bit of difference in the book where when Duke Leto is flying out and they look at them mining the spice in the book, that ship never comes back to pick up the mining machine. In the movie, it comes back, but then the grappling system has a fault in it, and so it can't pick it up. The other one, there's a traitor on board, so they don't ever come back. So that's a little bit different. But like I said, after listening to the book right after watching it, it is pretty faithful. Kind of curious on this. I do want to watch the second movie when it. I think 15th. It's going to be on Prime on the 15th.
Oh, you gotta wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
But also listen to The Time Machine, H.G. Wells' Time Machine.
Mm-hmm. That's a classic.
It is. It was. It was okay. It was kind of neat that, because I've seen the movie from the 50s, and then I have seen a later one, which I don't remember if it was like the 70s or 80s. And I think there's a newer one that came out within the last 10 years. I haven't seen that one. But it was kind of neat in the book where they set it up so you don't really know if he's telling the truth or not, because he's telling a story, and they set it up where he has told like ghost stories and stuff before, which kind of lays that little bit of doubt whether he's making all this up. And but it was good, definitely worth listening to. And I'll listen to the second Dune book, the whatever Mohadib. Oh, I did think in the Dune movie, the newer version versus the 80s, the way they portrayed the Freeman was, outside of any political statements they make in the movie, just them as a people is more accurate to the book because they're kind of like Bedouin. Although, to me, Zendaya is no Sean Young.
Did you see the one that's from like what was that show called, or that network called, like USA Network maybe, or something like that? It was from like the 90s maybe, or the early 2000s, and it was it 2 parts or was it 3 or 4 parts? And it was more like a mini series. Did you see that one by any chance?
No, is that because I saw.
That's my favorite Dune. Like it's just like what it's like, Highlander, the TV show, or like like after Xena, they started getting the TV show started turning like Highlander, like a little more polished than Xena, but still, or might be like what's that show, Stargate, with the circle, like kind of like Stargate, the TV show. Like they had a budget and they made a good decent like props and costumes and stuff. And then it was a mini series, so they didn't take it super serious, and I don't remember it being like a big hype. But I was also super busy back then, so I wouldn't have been paying attention. And I definitely didn't watch it back then, but I've watched it since. And that's my favorite Dune because I don't know, maybe because they just spend even more time laying stuff out. But I'd be
Well, I
curious
know
to watch
there
that one.
was a miniseries done on the third book, The Children of Dune. So I don't know if it's that one.
Well, the problem is if I go to my place and look at movies, there's a whole bunch of Dune movies, but I don't think they have anything to do with the books, but they're called like
Oh.
Children of Dune and stuff. I think they just picked names that sounded cool that had Dune in them.
Well, Children of the Dune is the third book that he wrote.
Yeah, but I mean, they'll have names like that, but it'll also be like the
Oh,
Wonders
okay.
of Dune or Dune Planet or the Dune of Time.
Well, there's his son Herbert's. Was it Herbert? His son in the 80s got together with a science fiction writer. There's 17 total Dune books.
Yeah, like number 1, 2, and 3 were the main dude, and then from
Yeah.
that it's this kid, right?
Yeah, and then like
This
10
kid
years
only did
later,
2, and then
they
it was
started.
another-
Yeah, but in the 80s they did a whole bunch more. His son. But I figure I can. YouTube has the first 2. They don't have the third book, so I'll listen to the second book and then kind of go from there. iTunes has the third book, but they want like $25. That's a little bit much for me. But Larry Knopf is out
a
there.
lot much for a book to listen to.
But I did enjoy the book. It took a little to get into, but it might have just been because I was at work while I was listening. I liked it. I didn't love it, but after a while, I got into it. So let's take a look at this week's poll. This week's poll was: would you rather sit in traffic for 10 minutes or drive 10 minutes extra? And wait patiently or drive 10 minutes around the traffic jam. And then the third choice was I don't drive. 67% said drive 10 minutes extra. That's kind of my attitude. I don't always do that. Sometimes I'll just sit and wait, but I prefer to keep moving, even though I know I'm probably just kind of wasting gas. However long it takes. What's that?
But are you? If you're sitting in traffic, you're just wasting gas, and it's just literally burning. So I'd rather be moving.
There's a lot of construction going on in town. Kind of what got me thinking about it. But unfortunately for us, the town there's a highway in the middle of the town. So there's only 3 roads that cross the highway, and 2 of the roads have construction on them. At one point, all 3 of them did. So you kind of have to wait a little. It's not super bad, the waits. It's just kind of annoying. You have to leave just a little bit early to make sure you're not stuck in traffic. So looking at the comments, New York Outcast said definitely drive. Sitting in traffic is like watching water boil. Sergeant Joe Smith gonna drop the tailgate on the Ranger, grilled steak, a couple of beers while I wait. The goddamn bacon said depends. If I have enough lead time, I'll probably divert. If not, it's only about that bad. I'll probably wait it out. Vent's dad, I'll wait and bitch. about it like a true American. X Adam 1 depends how I am on gas. And Ron Wayne, I just wait. It would give me a chance to catch up on mouse parties I've missed. So, yeah, for the polls, I personally kind of like the polls that are more open ended, that are now I can't even think of the word. It just had it. Just had it. Oh, I don't know what I was going to say.
I don't either.
That was happens when you don't have it scripted. I'm on page 4 of the script, but it's just blank.
I
Where's your
dropped-
teleprompter?
I dropped the script and now the pages are all mixed up. So I kind of lost my place in the script.
Well, then you can do the closing credits now, and then you can resume the show. Problem solved.
Oh, but thank you to everybody that voted in the poll. Let me get back over. There we go. Oh, G-Webs, did you happen to see if that the link that I used for the red dot, did that show up as?
I haven't seen it. I've been looking, but I haven't seen it. I don't know if I did the link wrong or I'm an idiot, but I appreciate the attempt. Did you buy it? Did it actually go through?
Yeah, I bought it. It'll show up next Monday, I think.
Oh, well, it's also possible. I don't know, Gizzard, do you know? Like on Event Link, does it wait until it shows up like it does with Amazon or something?
Don't think so.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Like I said, it's been my first time in a long time seeing something. Actually, I don't know if I've ever had something I know was going through. What's that one? Event Link.
I don't know. It was such a good deal. I couldn't pass it up because I've been wanting to replace the SIG MSR that I have because it's been problematic. Then I saw your links on the Gilded. Your Gilded. Went over, kind of checked them out. Saw it seemed like a good price, and then I looked it up. I think I looked it up on the SIG website first, and then went over to Amazon. And I don't remember what SIG had it for, but Amazon had it for like 180, and the sale price was 90. So it's a good deal. Might as well.
I've been kind of waiting to see if that worked to know if I should keep doing that because they started sending emails to tell me to send emails, essentially like reminding me that I can do it. And I know a lot of people do it. I've just never done it. And then like, oh, I'll try that out.
Yeah, the MSR is kind of looks like basically the same shape, but it doesn't have the shake awake. And then mine, the battery doesn't contact it very well, so I had to shove a little piece of foam in there to give it a little more force. But I don't want to depend on a little piece of foam on it working properly. So Clover Tack is out there.
Wow.
I mean, it's supposed to be a typo. He's not allowed to be awake this late.
No, and we weren't
So
even
Link
talking.
Gilded.
We weren't talking about 22s.
Maybe he knew we were about to start talking about 22s.
And Eric M509. Good evening. Speaking of 22s, now that you said 22 and Clovis, way back when I 'cause I think you did videos on the Calico. How was the Calico to shoot?
Oh, you're asking me?
Yep.
You're talking about the 22 and stupid 9mm one.
The 22.
So they're pretty awesome, and they can wear out. That helical mag will wear out after a while. So when the spring wears out, they have problems like any 22 would, as you can assume. Rim locking and stuff where they don't set right in there. But so one time one came through the shop and the mags had just been redone. Like they make mag rebuild kits, and the guy that sold it had just done the rebuilds. And that's the ones I got videos of me shooting one in each hand. What is that, 50 rounds? So 100 rounds into a hill. And
So for people who might not know, this is a Calico.
And that's the pistol. They make a rifle version also, but that pistol's pretty sweet. And then they make a stupid 9mm one also. The 9mm only holds 50 because nobody wants it.
Yeah, I didn't know there was a 9mm one. I only remembered the 22.
Same thing though. The long. It's just a spring. It's like a really long spring twisting in there, a helical coil like DNA. So, and it's got to go in that path, right? So it wears out. So as long as you have, and then there must be some plastic pieces that wear out also because there's more than just the spring that they rebuild. Still in business. I'm pretty sure they still make them.
Is it a pain to load?
I mean, yeah, but I don't. If there is some sort of cranky dealy, I don't have it. I've only ever loaded it by hand. You sort of load, and then you twist, and then load, and twist, because you got to keep. Imagine like the spring from a 10-round magazine or a 20-round magazine or whatever, except this is a 100-round magazine. So there's no way you can push against 100 rounds of spring, right? So essentially you're just kind of moving this follower, I guess, I don't really know how it works, but you're getting about, it's like loading a 10-round magazine over and over. You see the end there, the butt end of it?
Yeah.
That's the rear sight, but it's also that literally the end of it is a crank. That's like a circle, and those are like the little knobs on the circle. It's like a gear kind of. So you're going to crank that until it stops cranking, and then you'll load, and then you'll crank it a bunch of times, and then you'll load it. So when you go to load it, it'll be easy, and then it gets super difficult. And then you'll crank it, and it's easy, and then it gets difficult. So you get like a pace, I guess, because you get plenty of time. You're going to have to do that 10 times to load that magazine. Each, and then we did it with like 2 or 3 magazines, so it takes forever. But at the same time, shoots forever. So imagine loading that thing up, and then, I mean, there's very few things I can think of where you're going to shoot 100 rounds, but you could go plinking and use it for something else, like a defense gun or something, I suppose.
Clover said he was doing some upgrades on his printer, so he's waiting around to make sure everything's going to work out.
Right on.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought about the Calico, but when we started talking 22s, the Calico popped in my head. When back in the early to mid 90s, 92 to 95-ish, somewhere in there, I worked at a grocery store in Eastern Washington. And in the magazine rack, they had catalog, and it had I think most of the guns in there were 22 versions of other guns, like Tommy gun, and I can't even think of what else they had. There was I remember there's Calicos in it. Yeah, kind of cool, but they were all 22. I'm not a huge fan of 22 personally.
Why?
It's not fun for me. I like, my Marlin rifle. I I love that. That's one of my favorite guns I have, the 22 Marlin 60. But overall, I just don't enjoy shooting 22.
That's because you're a recoil junkie.
I am. I admit it. I can't help it. It's just who I am. I like the big booms.
My thing with the 22 is when, I don't know, when we'd be shooting or whatever, and you go through there and there's like a bent one. That would always bother me. Like, it's just a fragile round, and they always sell it to you in bulk. So I've got too many guns that are finicky, little revolvers, and most of the semis can't handle that kind of stuff. Shoving it through a lever action, no big deal. Shoving it through like a big revolver, no big deal. But that's one of my problems. And then it can be filthy, just filthy round.
Guns Barbecue said he likes the big boobs. Oh, Gary,
Yeah.
do you have a favorite 22?
Oh shit! I thought it was the over already.
For what?
Just overall, is there one that you like shooting, or you just think looks cool, so it's your favorite? Or
Just for shooting at the range and planking, it's kind of hard to beat the TX22. It's just tons of fun.
I don't think I've heard anybody ever say anything bad about him.
Just load up those big old mags and just shoot all day.
Here's the TX22.
If you want to soup it up, you can put the competition kit on there. Put a red dot and stuff like that. Really accurate little gun.
G-Webs, do you have a favorite 22?
We're talking 22 long rifle or 22 shorts included?
Whichever. Anything 22.
Well, then you got 22 magnums, so that's ridiculous. But no, it'd be very, 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 very difficult. I really like a lot of 22s. I mean, seriously, I could go on and on about how many 22s are awesome. But no, I can't even consider having a favorite one. There's too many of them.
Yeah, to carry, my favorite is my NAA mini revolver in 22 Magnum. It's my little friend.
I will say they are cool. I think they are cool. Ooh.
And then like
There you
my
go, Gary.
typical Derringer, it'll shoot 5 rounds.
Here's one for you, Gary.
Mhm.
It's a set.
Those are pretty.
It's plated in gold.
I tried to get people to be interested in getting a cricket, and they're getting giant scopes on them, so it's a lot of fun. But nobody likes crickets. But I really, 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 really like little tiny rifles and giant scopes. Super fun to shoot, and you can shoot the eye out of a steel target, downrange, because you can see like the whole. You can see very good with a giant scope.
So you've got a 22 short, a 22 long rifle, and a 22 Magnum all in the same set. That's pretty awesome.
It's only $1,750. It comes with a walnut display case, and they're matching serial numbers.
Matching serial numbers. Wow.
Yeah, these are
Interesting.
kind of cool.
They
This is a
have so
long
many
barrel.
different styles. Yeah. Yeah, they got a long barrel. If that's your thing. I mean, the little ones aren't known for being target pistols, so yeah, the longer barrel might help. This is going to increase your muzzle velocity somewhat too, because you do lose a lot.
This is the Mini Master. Interesting. Yeah,
Oh.
I've never seen one up close.
What? You've never seen any of the little revolvers?
No.
Oh,
You'll see one in June because I'll bring mine to Thunder on the Prairie. You can shoot it. Both
You
of
ever
mine.
you ever watched my series on them? I sat there and put the collection out and played with them for like.
Well, yeah, I've
That's
never
what
seen
made
one.
me want one. Are you kidding?
Because
I haven't
Okay.
seen one in person.
I was gonna say, like, let me know if I'm doing something, especially if I'm driving, because the whole collection fits in like a bag smaller than him. Like that whole collection that of mine. When I just put him, I put him in baby socks. He's one of them just in a baby sock, so they all fit in a bag like that big. It's not even that big. It's like that big. And there's even some other stuff in there besides. I keep a pen in there and some other stuff. So yeah, no problem. I brought it to Vegas more than a few times already, just to play with it when. Especially like if DJ's in the room, then I wouldn't have a problem at all. I just don't like leaving it in the hotel room. You can't really carry around them in a shot show. But hey, yeah, I'm not going to Thunder on the Prairie though. But I was gonna say next time I'm going to something, I'll bring them. Let me know. But that long one, there's a forum for people that like those things, those NAAs. Well, that like mini revolve. The forum's hosted by NAA, and I like all mini revolvers. But usually, when I bring up other revolvers, the people there are kind of cold on them. They only like NAAs. But the people that really like North American Arms, I guess there's more than one way to collect them. But some of those collectors, that what was that? What do they call that long one? The match or something? So they've had like 4 or 5 names of it, and they've made it in a couple of 3 different calibers, or maybe 4. No, 3. The Magnum, the long rifle, and in 17 Mach. I think just the Mach 2. No, just Mach. HMR, whatever this the longer the Magnum version of 17 is, and I don't even know how many. They've probably made 10 altogether of those long ones. There's some neat ones, but you've ever seen an NAA with like not a bird's head grip, but like a boot grip? They have them on the store. They make them, but they don't sell anything with it. I don't think they might sell the black powders with it, but it's essentially like a normal grip, not the little curved under bird's head grip that an NAA normally has. Makes them look like a Derringer. So when you put a regular grip on that long one, it just looks like a tiny 44 Magnum or something. Like it looks like a tiny regular gun because it just doesn't have that Derringer look.
Here's
But
one that's
there's some people that really like them.
it's ported.
Yeah, you can get Magnums ported. I don't know. It's
That
for
the Pug? That may be the
No.
one I have.
No, the Pug has like a big underlug, like a big fat underlug. It's sort of like
Oh yeah.
and they don't really carve the barrel out. It is ported, but they also have a bigger sight kind of base, so that they put an excess sight on it.
That's right.
And then a Pug has a big overmolded slide-on grip all the time.
Yep.
And I've had probably 4 or 5 extra Pug grips, and then Did I make a pug grip? I might have made a pug grip orange. For some reason, I feel like I made an orange pug grip out of rubber. Like I took one of my pug grips and made a mold of it and just made some other color ones. But that's definitely, you put a pug, have you shot one with a pug grip, Gizzard?
Just a regular rubber.
The big overmolded. So imagine like the normal NAA, is that smooth wood and metal grip.
Yeah,
If you
mine's
put-
got a rubber grip on it.
Yeah, okay. Then they're just so much easier to shoot. It's like
Yes,
a rubber
100%
ball.
easier.
So I really like the pug. Now they've made the pug with the sidewinder, and I hate the sidewinder. I don't know why they're trying to make a side folding thing out of it, or what do you call it? I don't know what you call that. A side folding cylinder? No, there's a name for when you can open the cylinder. But this is too much to put in that little gun. It's too fragile. Because the guns aren't fragile. They're little, right? But they're strong. They're made out of solid stainless. Like they're super strong. As soon as you start chopping them all up to make them open, make them open to the side, they get super fragile and weak. I guess out of a pug, it might be a little stronger, but it's the connection part that bothers me. You have to like push the front and the back of the cylinder, or else it starts getting all bendy. I don't like that. Because your tendency is to just close a revolver, you think of a revolver like I'm just going to close it. I'm not going to be
I
fragile.
went to NRAM last year and went by the Sticky Holsters booth and found out that they made a holster for the NAA Pug. It's like, I must have that now. And ever since, I carry that thing in my, like when I'm wearing gym shorts around the house and stuff like that. That is my lightest weight carry that I carry. It's not ideal, but it will do.
Oh, these ones are kind of neat looking. Kind of like old Colt looking ones. Octagonal barrels.
That's like the Sheriff or something. See what I mean, though? When they start putting the regular grip on them, they start looking different.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that idea. Like swap the cylinders. Like, come on, that makes way more sense. You don't have to do nothing. It's still strong. And anybody can carry around 3 or 4 cylinders. Ain't nothing to carry some cylinders of Magnum around. Instead of trying to make it a side, whatever they call that. I don't know what to call that.
I actually have a speed loader that was made for the Pug, too. I forget. I got it off Amazon. I forget who makes it.
Oh, I was going to mention that the Washington mag limit, the 10-round mag limit, was ruled unconstitutional on Tuesday. Was it
Nice.
Monday or Tuesday, and then immediately stayed. The ruling was stayed by the commissioner of the Supreme Court, not even the judges of the Supreme Court. So the law is still in effect.
Way to follow the will of the people.
Yeah. And in the decision to stay, I haven't read it myself, but from what I've heard, they talk about basically the 2-tier system that's supposed to be unconstitutional. So, yeah. From what I've heard, there are people who actually were able to buy magazines, but they were standing at the store. Once it was released, they bought magazines, and then the decision was stayed. So.
Have y'all seen this picture going around? Oh, shit. Have y'all seen this picture going around? Okay. How come I can't work StreamYard anymore? Isn't there a button I can click that makes this happen? There we go.
Yeah, I saw that one.
At first, I was like, just thinking they were like making fun of the guy because he's got like the goofiest stance ever, especially on a boat. And then whatever he's doing with his stock there and his whatnot. And then I realized the scope is on backwards.
Yeah, it took me a second to see what they were talking about. It's like, oh yeah, he's just upping the difficulty level. It was too easy.
Who put that thing together? Like, oh well, you're not supposed to grab the mag. Fine, I'll put my giant ass vert grip right next to the mag well.
Yeah, it's a little odd also.
I mean, I hope the Navy doesn't put them together like that. It's supposed to be like a Navy. I guess the Navy put this out on their Twitter. That's why it's such a big deal.
Oh.
It's like an official Navy picture. As bad as the H&K thing.
Yeah.
They're like, how many people saw this before it was like, you know, hey, yeah, that's the picture we'll use.
The H&K thing got handed to everybody in SHOT Show, too.
That's,
It was on the front of the program, I believe, or is inside the program, anyway.
Well,
it was in magazines, yeah.
Other than the people that were standing right there with them, when the picture gets up, you know, it's basically goes to public relations who probably don't know shit about it. So,
well, I'm sure they even stage this, you know. This isn't like, well, obviously the gun's wrong. Like, you know, whatever they did there, I don't know what they were thinking. But it almost kind of looks photoshopped, actually.
I was kind of wondering about that. I haven't looked at it up close because I don't know, I just can't imagine it, honestly.
And then
So
just
they
the
did
idea that like no one would train you to ever do that. So like no one would be like, oh yeah, that's normal. That's good to go. That's a guy shooting a gun. Now I'm looking at the sling and I'm like, what the hell? It's just I guess it's a single point hanging off and he doesn't have it strung to anything, or maybe it is Photoshop and it's just they just erased the other half of the sling.
sling's hanging straight down, isn't it?
It's probably a single point because it's off the where it's attached.
But like that kind of looks like it's going under his armpit, and then that just goes down, so they don't continue a loop, and it's possible that it loops behind him. So I'm just thinking that it just doesn't 100% add up. The brass in the air is interesting. I guess it's possible to have a picture like that. Anyway, it's just I just noticed it, and I've seen it like 4 times. Tony Simon posted it, and that's the first time I seen it or whatever. And then I seen that it was from the Navy, and I'm like, oh man. I always thought they were making fun of the way this guy's holding the gun, or the way the gun's set up. And then I figured out somebody said something about the optic, and I'm like, oh crap, that's horrible. I mean, it's not like the Navy uses sidearms very often, but still. I mean, I think they just let the Marines do what do they call that? Keeping people off the boat? Or is the Navy?
You know, you've got the Marines for security, and there will be Navy, because like anytime you see Navy guys swimming, there'll be a Navy guy with a rifle.
Oh, for like sharks.
Yeah.
So yeah, they just might not. You know, that's not their thing. Their guns are big around as a Volkswagen or whatever.
If it wasn't put out by the Navy, then I would really question whether it was photoshopped.
Oh, even coming from the Navy PR or whatever, I wouldn't put off being photoshopped. Even, you know what I mean? Like that's like same as marketing.
Well, I was thinking more Photoshop to make them look bad. rather than
Photoshop to make it look like a crazy. Yeah, I see what you mean.
yeah. Vulcan Rumbles out there. Good evening.
You're gonna eat me some nuts.
I don't know what else is going on.
My electricity's out, so I'm dealing with no electricity over here. Well, most of my outlets went out, so I'm trying to figure out where the hell something happened.
Oh, I saw it. I saw the post you did with the burnt outlet.
You would think that was the one that burnt everything down, or stopped everything. No, I mean, unless I replaced it with a bad one, I don't think I did. So I'm still figuring out where something happened.
So that dude shooting the rifle was the commander of the ship.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, he probably doesn't know.
Commanding
wow,
officer of the
really far away.
USS John S. McCain.
McCain. That
Tells
stuff's
you a lot.
really far away. They're probably used to shooting things over the horizon, so they're like he's just used to things being really far away. And then I went to the bin store. It's my other big news. Spent all day at the bin store. It's amazing.
You bought a bin?
Have you heard
John
of him?
S. McCain is a destroyer. For anybody who might be curious.
I was surprised that no one knew what a bin store was.
I had, before I saw you talking about it, I had seen videos of people doing that, different, going into the bin stores and stuff. I've never been to one. Do you have to fight people for the bins?
So it's not bins. I don't know why they call it bin. It's just tables with like edges so that stuff doesn't pour off the tables, but they just dump a bunch of stuff onto tables in boxes. And then so they'll close one day, then they open with all the new stuff. And then people pour in that first day. I haven't been there for that day, but that's supposed to be the most crowded day. So people will show up and then open all these boxes and then tear them apart. And if it's like a set of darts and a dartboard, well, it's probably like missing one dart. Well, now somebody opened it and now there's a dartboard and all the darts are everywhere. So now it's missing all its darts, right? But if you sat there, you could probably pick them all up and find the box, put it all back together and be missing one dart. So yeah, like if you could try to do that with a bunch of people around, then it's going to be impossible. But if you go there like on a different time of day or a different day, then it's possible. So, and then probably they're all different. Like I can't imagine going to like, I don't know, Dallas or LA or something and going to one of these. It's probably totally different than, Tucson or Phoenix even. But I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I have no idea. They're probably just the neighborhood they're in like there's two here that I went to. There's three altogether in Tucson. I go to two of them. One of them's in the middle of town, so it's just a bunch of regular people. The other one is like one of the suburbs of Tucson, you could say, like this other town next to Tucson. There's a bunch of old people that retired down here, and then 45 people that run the restaurants down there. But like it's all old people. So if you go to that one, it's just a bunch of old people. Like you're not going to fight with them. You just got to make sure you don't hurt them, like knock them over. But it's literally just really, really, really old people walking around looking in there. But I don't know. It probably I think the stuff is a general random assortment of Amazon returns always. So the stuff is going to be randomly different. I think the people, if you went to like a place where, I don't know, like a big city where there's a bunch of people that got nothing else to do, that's probably overrun, like probably super crowded. But I don't know. like I say, I went to it once or twice and was like, yeah, I don't understand why people like it so much. But then I went back and actually spent money instead of just looking around and leaving. I went and started buying stuff, rooting around. Yeah, I mean, like I've found earphones for the dog. You ever seen dog earmuffs, right? For like dogs that around helicopters and stuff. How would I find those? I did for $1. They're like 36 or $50. I forgot. I zapped them because they're all off Amazon. You can find out how much stuff costs. But I would have never would have thought in a million years I would get dog earphones, and that would have paid $1 for his and $1 for hers. It's crazy. I mean, there was probably only 2 in the whole place, but I knew what they were, so I grabbed them. I got a Bruce Lee DVD.
Which one?
That's something like the Clones of Bruce Lee, like a rip-off DVD. It just has Bruce Lee on the cover. But $1. Anyways, it's super fun. Just rooting around and got like a bunch of bubble guns that shoot bubbles, I think, if they work. And I got a sword that expands, some kind of sword thing made out of plastic, but like collapses in on itself. So you kind of flick it and it expands, but not like a lightsaber, like a sword. But I mean, it's plastic, but it's looks like a metal sword. It's cool. Oh, I got a Civivi. I think I still left that outside. I don't have lights in here, so I just have this one extension cord running over here to this light. So I was doing the video during gizzards because I was trying to do it while I still had light out. So I left all that stuff outside. Hopefully it doesn't rain tonight.
Yeah, I still need to. I can't remember where I put all my martial arts stuff. I was gonna still need to dig it out, take pictures to send to you so you can see my stuff. I don't have a lot anymore. I had a lot more when I was in high school, but I've kind of lost some of the stuff over the years.
How long before the kids start playing with it?
I don't know. My son never did because they've always been put away. And I don't think my wife will like the daughter playing with the stuff. I did
I would
make
have
a lightsaber for my son.
the foam one.
No, it's the aluminum hilt, and then the I just had a medium blade, which because I had one that I built, and then he kind of liked to play with it, so I made one for him, and him and his friends would play with them. But since they only had the medium blades, if you're gonna smack them, the people that duel with them, they have the heavy blades, so they're real thick and can stand being hit, and there's no sound. There's no soundboard in them.
Oh,
because like mine, the kids playing with them, the swings, the motion sensor in it, I think they damaged it. So it used to be when it would make the woo sound, and then when you swing it, it would go woo woo woo. Well, it doesn't woo anymore. There's still sound when you contact something. It sounds like it's the saber hit something.
the accelerometer is glitching or something.
Yeah. But like mine, I think probably in total spent about $200 on parts on mine. But this was kind of back when it was a little harder to find parts. Like the soundboard for mine, I ordered from England, and had to
like
wait.
components then, not like a kit that you put together, but just different components that you assemble.
Yeah, I ordered from I think 3 different. There's a shop in Portland, Oregon. Got some pieces from there, which I can't think of the name of that. I can't think of any of the shops. And then one other shop, and then the soundboard I got, like I had ordered from a place in England. Now there's a ton of different places you can order from online.
Remember Brandon? He had a store here in Arizona.
When I first built it, I bought a toy lightsaber. There was I think it was a Hasbro one that everybody would use the soundboards out of that. And that was good to kind of get started, but I was never really happy with it. And so went with kind of upgraded some of the parts and still have it. It's upstairs in the Mariner's room.
So when I was growing up, I used to be like, hey, I want a bunch of martial arts stuff, like stars and chucks and everything, swords. And everybody's like, no, you can't have them. So then I started just buying them at school. And
Yeah.
then once I had a ton of them, they're like, oh, okay, I guess you already have them. So now you can have more. So right, your kids ain't doing that path then. I'm just buying them anyway.
No.
Probably
in high school,
in the 80s.
I had my granddad built me a kind of like a display case, but there was no it was a closed box that hung on the wall for all my stuff.
Oh, I know what you mean. Like the two doors open.
Yeah, it had one door that folded down, and then all my stuff was in there.
I never thought about something like that. Right now, I just have a piece of pegboard, a big fancy piece of pegboard stuck to the wall, and a bunch of stuff hanging on pegboard.
And I don't have any stars anymore. I've got I think I still have
a lunchbox full of stars.
I used to have 2 nunchucks, one with rope, one with chain. I don't know. I don't even know if I have both of those anymore. I don't even know what I have anymore. I should have tonfa and size. I used to have a pair of butterfly swords, but when my car got broken in 2 years ago, they took that.
I almost
That's
bought
what
3 times, but I don't know how to flip them, so I didn't ever buy them. You know how to flip around the sai?
Yeah,
I can't do that.
not real well.
Yeah, I never figured it out, so I never bought anything else like that. I figured until I figure out size, I'm not going to keep buying that kind of stuff.
And
But there's like 6 different kind of size that I would have got if I knew how to work them.
I think I gave when we moved from Eastern Washington, I think I gave somebody my bow, the staff, so I don't have that anymore.
Did you ever have any bamboo stuff?
No.
Like the bamboo swords?
No.
Is that no Kempo swords?
Yeah, the Shinai. I never had one.
I probably still have 3 or 4, but we've gone through probably a dozen of those, just smacking the crap out of them. I don't know how we never took any training, so we would just wail on each other with them.
Yeah.
But I mean, on the swords, but every once in a while our hands would get in the way. But man, we just broke the crap out of a couple of those. I mean, they were expensive back in the day too, but we didn't care. We were just having a lot of fun in the backyard.
Used to have a boken, but I broke it hitting trees with it. The wooden swords. No,
you never had the kung fu thing with those arms and legs, the training dummy.
Oh no, I kind of always wanted one. The Wing Chun dummies.
They're super cool. I never knew that there's more to it than just smacking your hands against it. That's an element of it, but you can do pulls and pushes, and you're really getting strong on pulling people and messing with them. I didn't realize there's a lot more to it. But yeah, my friend had one. Essentially on a thing that you'd have a punching bag on.
Yeah.
So right in the middle of his living room. It's like, man, that's kind of not too many people are going to do that, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I've got number.
What about
Number.
3-sectional staffs or chains or any of that
No,
stuff?
that was one that as a kid, I wanted one, but never got one.
I've got a big one where it's or I should say it's like long sticks with just 2 links. They're all metal, but I don't know. I do have a wooden one or a soft cord one too. But anyway, I have a couple that have long sticks and it's just a link or 2. And then I have others which are, I'm going to say, the size of a regular chuck or maybe smaller because I have a little one with long flexible parts depending on if they're chains or if they're cord.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do 3-sectional staffs for shit, but I really like them and I tried 100 times. Like I say, I'm like, well, maybe I'll just try a different one. Maybe I'll just try a different one.
I just saw, I think yesterday, flipping through either Instagram or YouTube Shorts, dude doing a 3-sectional staff.
Yeah, they're neat. They're supposed to be chucks for like a hallway. Like you're supposed to be able to like, I don't know, control them better. And I've only seen like two movies ever where there's somebody like really using a 3-sectional staff. But I don't know. They seem cool. They seem like the shotgun of chucks.
There's a movie, Budo, The Killing Art, and it goes through different like sumo and karate and judo. It's really good video if you can find it. And there's the
Like
guy that does
like a
the guy
documentary,
that does
a movie.
what's that?
Like a documentary, not a movie.
Yeah. Really good. The guys in it are really good. The guy that does the nunchucks, the old guy that does the nunchucks, is probably the best, most practical use of nunchucks I've ever seen. Where it's not just fancy flipping. You know,
What's it called again?
Budo, The Killing Art. I think it's from the 80s, early 80s, maybe late 70s. I have it on DVD.
I just looked it up. I don't think I've ever seen it.
It's really good.
For a long time, I managed this restaurant, and we would trade. I would send food over to this martial arts place across the street because then after work, I would go over there and like I'd feed them all day or whenever they wanted, really. And then I would go over there after work, and they'd let me basically rent VHS tapes as many as it was back in the VHS tapes days.
Yeah.
Rent as many of the tapes as I wanted. So they had both kung fu movies, but also crazy, like you're talking about, I think, like the, you know, training things. And it was all nerd stuff. Like nobody's gonna ever watch this. It was like really bad to watch, but it was somebody brought like a VHS camcorder to a dojo somewhere, and we're like, you know, showing it a bunch of stuff. So I've seen a bunch of these things, but I don't think I've seen this one.
Oh, X Adam One's throwing out the challenge there. Said he would he is 100% confident that he would destroy anyone with nunchucks with his brass knuckles. 0 chance of them winning.
Like by just punching the nunchucks every time they came at you.
I don't like. I have never used brass knuckles, but I'm not a fan of the way they sit on the hand.
Have you ever had real ones though?
No.
So I've only ever had paperweights, right? Like the goofy looking things. But I shouldn't say that. When I was a kid, my great grandpa's dad carried them. So I never met him, but I put his on, and I was a little kid, so they didn't fit my hand till I was older. But real ones, like that people used back in the day, ain't like the paperweights at all. They're more like just if you took 5 rings and melded them together and then put the thing here. So they have the elements of a real one, but they're so much nicer. And
what the problem for me is where they sit, because they sit here, but I'm hitting here when I punch.
You do punch a little different with them, but because you just like you would if you had gloves on, but you don't need to punch normal. You got this thing that you're holding in your hand because you're punching with a weapon. You're not punching with your fist anymore,
But
but you're never dropping it
it changes the dynamic of the punch.
for 100%. No, I hear you. Yeah, it does. But just remember, the people that are using it aren't trained, right? They're just people that,
Oh, okay.
they're just swinging their arms anyway. Or maybe they're boxing trained or something, you know what I mean? But they're able to adapt that. That's not like fundamentally messing with them. But I'm just saying they're so much more refined, so easier to hold on to. I don't have those, but yeah, they were way better than. Well, and I guess also if they were fit to him, I have no idea because I have no idea other than these are great grandpas. Like if he put any effort into them or if he just bought them off the store or whatever. But if he did get them fit for him, then genetically they probably do fit my hand. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And he said he puts a little tape on the part that rests against the inside of your palm.
Oh, I never thought of that. But yeah, that would probably aid a lot, really. Except for when you're carrying it. In Arizona, I think wait, are they the only ones we can't have? I think we can have brass knuckles with our CCW. I think it's just maces we can't have for some reason.
I don't know if they're legal in Washington. That may. It is illegal for any person to possess, distribute, or manufacture brass knuckles in Washington. Up to 1 year of jail time, up to $5,000 in fines.
Lame.
Yeah, we can't have them either.
That's like worse than what's it called? Switchblades. I mean, when's the last time? Well, I mean, you wouldn't want bad guys wailing on people, but you wouldn't want, it's already illegal. But that's such an. Plus, there's those key rings and stuff now. Here's a state by state. I found a state by state thing for which ones they're legal in. But there's nobody petitioning for brass knuckles anywhere, is there?
Not that I know of.
Essentially, Texas, Hawaii, you're good to go. Georgia, South Carolina, good to go. Indiana, good to go. Arizona, Utah, good to go. Idaho, Wyoming, South Dakota, Iowa, good to go. Montana, yes. Everybody else? A whole bunch of the states you can carry with a permit, and then it's illegal in a bunch of states that are wimpy.
Yeah, we're not allowed to have slung shot, sand club, metal knuckles, or spring blade knives.
That sounds like somebody with a handlebar mustache is listing that shit off.
And I cannot furtively carry with intent to conceal any dagger, dirk, pistol, or other dangerous weapon.
What's a dirk?
Kind
Like
of
a dagger.
dagger, except a little bit different.
Yeah, the knife law is kind of goofy because you cannot carry a knife with intent to intimidate. But
we can't have throwing knives in Kansas either.
A dirk is a long-bladed dagger, thrusting, historically from the Highland dirk, where it was a personal weapon of naval hand-to-hand combat in the age of sail. So it's just a longer dagger that has a longer blade than a regular dagger. So that's a goofy thing, but that's the states where you can have brass knuckles and where you have to have a CCW, and then where you can't have them at all.
I'm surprised it's legal in Hawaii.
Yeah, really? Right? They just haven't gotten around to it yet. Because, seriously, who even carries around? You know who carries around brass knuckles? All the girls that carry around those little kitty-looking keychains. Which is sad, because that's all the people that are really using brass knuckles. Because crooks aren't going to carry around brass knuckles. They can already pound somebody. You know what I mean? Like, crook doesn't need them. They're already hardened, or don't care, or they're pushing people that are soft, so they don't need to worry about it. The only people, this is like a gun, like it's just a defensive thing. I'm sure my great grandpa wasn't going around hitting people with it. It was probably, again, like be able to get home without having to worry about losing the fight.
But it's like the switchblades. Well, bad guys use cool people use switchblades.
That's the way to say it. Yeah, people that don't
Here's
want to wait around would use switchblades.
X Adam 1 sent a picture of his brass knuckles. These nubby ones look gnarly. The ones on top, the black ones.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I had my grandpa's, so I played with them when I was a little kid. I was scared to punch anything with them, so I didn't want to ruin them. And then I bought a set of that kind of brass ones, and I never pursued them past that because, like you said, they're super uncomfortable and they're awkward to punch with. But do you guys know Weapon Collector?
No.
Back in the days of like Cutlery Lover and Nothing Fancy and the olden days of YouTube, I don't know if he was in Europe or if he was here and he was from Europe, but he's like one of them people from Europe that speaks in a Europe accent all the time. So I can't, and maybe he goes back there still. I don't know, but it's been a long time since I really watched his channel. But the reason I started watching it, he would start with he started all different kinds of ways, but he made brass knuckles. So he would start with a sheet of brass and like kind of pencil it out. And then with a file did he even use a drill? He must have used a drill, but essentially with hand tools in his apartment, he would just like handcraft brass knuckles, and he'd make some thin and thick. And have you seen I guess they just call them knuckle, or like, the single knuckle. They're not really a ring. They're kind of like a big ring.
Yeah.
And then a 2-knuckle thing. So he would make different things like that. And I don't know, every once in a while he'd make them funny looking or something, but most of the time they were just different, like kind of concept type, practical kind of playing with it. So he must have had dozens of them. And I really liked just, every once in a while seeing one of his videos come along in the feed. He'd be making some new style, but he always just started with a file and a drill bit and a drill and a few holes and a piece of steel, or a piece of, well, I guess steel sometimes, but a piece of brass usually. Anyway, so I always thought that was neat. I guess I could totally see that being a hobby, like getting into them. And then I've thought about buying them at gun shows, but you don't see them as much because I guess they're illegal half the places. They're illegal in Oklahoma. That's why we don't see them at Moneymaker, huh?
X Adam 1 said the brass ones are smaller, more rounded, and heavier. The plated ones are slightly larger, straight edge, and lighter, and the shark edge with fast punch for cutting or heavy-handed blunt trauma.
Yeah, my grandpa's were super light. They were just steel, I think. I don't think they were brass. So they weren't as heavy as the brass kind.
But as I am apt to say, do what you want, just keep your mouth shut.
Well, it's a tough one because you use them and you immediately, everybody knows you used them. Well, that's a good deal.
You got all three for $20.
So they're going to give you something. You're going to take a mace or brass knuckles?
Ooh.
Or a sap. I should say a sap or brass knuckles. I guess a mace is a little bit different.
I would go for the mace, but
like a mace stick with a heavy end, right? A sap is a leather with a heavy thing in it.
Between a sap and brass knuckles? Ooh.
I think those were the same kind of things back in the day. That's the stuff the cop would have hit you with back in the old days.
Yeah. That's a toughie. Which would you choose, Gary?
Now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, my one great grandpa had brass knuckles, and my other family.
What's my choice between now?
Brass knuckles or a sap?
Which one do I want to get hit with?
No, which would you choose?
Like if
Guess
you were
brass
going to
knuckles.
be able to carry one.
Brass knuckles.
I'm thinking I would lean towards a sap, but I don't know. It's kind of 50-50.
I mean, I could see why a cop would want a sap, but a regular person, you don't really get in the position to be able to use a sap very often. You know what I mean? Like, oh, let me come up and smack you. Like, nobody's gonna let you do that.
Well, you sneak up behind them. That's how they do it in the movies.
That's what I mean. Yeah, exactly. Like, if you're not sneaking up on somebody, a sap is kind of a tough. It's not really a defensive weapon. It's more like an offensive thing.
No,
No,
not
sap.
staff. Yeah, SAP SAP, the little lead shot
Like a piece of leather with a
leather
piece
pouch.
of lead in it or something. Sometimes, have you seen the ones that are like a coin pouch and it just unsnaps and now it's a sap? I really like that.
No,
I would. Oh, really? I mean, imagine a piece of leather this long and it's a big pocket. So you put your coins in it and then it folds. And it's like, hey, here's my folding coin pouch. I don't have a picture of them. I mean, there's probably a bunch of people that make them. But essentially, it's a folding coin pouch. When you open it, oh, sorry, puppy, you got a sap. With how many coins you got in there.
when one of the this would have been 15 years ago or so, I flew into Narita Airport in Japan, and we're walking in. Can't remember if it's when we were leaving or when we arrived, but there was a Japanese officer, police officer, or security, standing kind of in the middle of the walkway with a Joe standing, holding it, just standing there. Joe was kind of like a short staff. And it's the first time I had ever seen, you really don't ever see cops in general in Japan. But just kind of standing there watching people. That's when I was in shape and still training, and I was thinking to myself, can I take him?
You mean like a stick the size of like an axe handle or something? Like
A little longer than that.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't want to be around that. That would hurt like a lot.
X Adam once said he'll take the brass knuckles. In movies, he get knocked out with those, but in real life, you just really piss off the person you hit.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you come up and wail on somebody in the back of their head, I can't imagine a sap doing. I mean, I don't know. I guess having a sap hit you in the jaw would not feel great, or in the eye. All right, I'll take that back. Sap would actually hurt pretty bad if you wailed on somebody with it.
Oh, today when I went to pick up my daughter from school, there was a crew cutting down some trees along the road. They had like half the road blocked off, and they had some big sections of tree trunk. I was gonna try and see if I could get one from them after I picked her up, but by the time we got out, they were all gone. I mean, they were nice, big, perfect for targets, for throwing knives and stuff. I was gonna see if I could
How
get
thick
one
were
from them. What's that?
Were they discs or were they big giant chunks of tree trunk?
They were big, giant chunks. They're probably 3 feet long, but they were probably about at least 2 to 3 feet in diameter. It's a nice big piece.
I wonder, probably 50-50 odds, maybe even better. that if you went up and said, "Hey man, I would like one of the cut a slice of this for to throw knives at. Could you slice me a piece?" They'd probably be like, "Oh, you're gonna throw knives at it? Fuck yeah, hold on."
Yeah, I was gonna tell him, hey, I'll give you $20 if you can give me a nice big section of that.
Well, then they'd definitely do it, even if they didn't like knives. Yeah.
But they were by the time because I wait in the parking lot for an hour before I have to get there an hour ahead to make sure I get a good parking spot. But so by the time we left, they had it packed up and were gone.
This kind of has the same logo as, or the same colors as Gizzard's logo.
Well, we just can't have that now, can we? Thing is, I never bothered to get a trademark for mine, so.
Gator Mark came in and laid right on top of you.
Well, they've been around longer than my channel has.
This was called Cherry Lime, and it was kind of a foggy white color. It looked like somehow white, like, I don't know, like unnecessarily white, but it had nothing to do with cherry or lime. It wasn't green or green or red.
And it's not made out of gators either. There's absolutely no gator in the product.
Ingredients: water, sugar, citric acid, salt. I guess I assumed it would be something else, but yeah, just water and sugar essentially. But after today, it was a little bit hot today. Running around, I figured it was worth the rehydration part of it.
Yeah, electrolytes are good for you in that kind of situation. Yeah.
I've been drinking a lot of just coffee and water, so yeah, not getting the well-roundedness or whatever that's called. Variety.
So you're balancing the coffee with the Gatorade.
I was just feeling it. It was all dry today. My mouth was dry, and your eyes feel dry. It wasn't that hot. It's not like it's bad or nothing. Just I figured I need to drink more.
I think we got up to maybe 60 today. It was pretty sunny. Clouds kind of came through a couple times, but overall it was a pleasant day today here.
Oh, I was going to ask in your thing, but everybody was talking and I forgot to ask again. But did you get to see the eclipse, or was it cloudy? Anybody get to see it?
Oh, it's always cloudy here. Every time there's been an eclipse, it's been cloudy.
For some reason, I thought the eclipse was at 1:30 or something. So I set my alarms and I'm sitting outside doing stuff. And then it got all, how eclipse, it gets kind of dusky or whatever the word, like it kind of gets yellow. It got all like that. And I was like, what's it getting like this for? Like there's no clouds up there. And I did have, what do you call it? A pinhole thing going. And I looked through my pinhole thing thinking like, I don't know, just a reflex because the sky got dark. I looked through my pinhole thing and I didn't see the eclipse looking symbol or nothing. I mean, we're way off of it, so we weren't going to see much anyway. But anyway, it was way before. It was hours before. And then I went and looked. After about noon, I was like, wait a minute, was that the eclipse? And I went and looked, and like sure enough, the eclipse had happened at like 11 our time instead of 1 that I thought it was going to happen. So technically I was outside, but I didn't really put much effort into it. I just thought it was clouds.
Have you seen the videos of the eclipse? Is the gaps in the leaves and the trees acted like pinhole cameras?
It's crazy, right? Like that's super. And then the what'd you call it, like the calliope or whatever the word is, like where they were just like, I don't know, like water on each other. They were like flowing around each other. It was super
Yeah.
neat. Somebody was walking. Yeah, I've seen a couple of different versions of that, but somebody was walking like maybe through, like you said, like a forest or something, and the ground was just almost like water. It was just crazy cool.
Yeah,
No,
like
we
the
didn't get anything like that here.
kaleidoscope.
Yeah. And then the best one I've seen is somebody took a picture of, I think they were underneath of a school of birds. So they got this picture of something that looks kind of like a crane or like a seagull, maybe, or something, some kind of big beaked bird, kind of flying with the actual eclipse happening behind it. That was pretty neat. But I pause on those on Instagram. So I've probably seen, a pretty good chunk of cool eclipse pictures because Instagram's trying to throw them at me right now. I don't know why, just something to do, I guess, instead of working on my electricity.
Oh, let me play this. Gearwebsites.com for all your two-way related t-shirts, patches, and stickers, and whatnot.
I have a new manual on how to rub your puppy different ways. It's called the double-ended wiggle. It's just a sample of the ways you can rub a puppy in our new manual. 50 ways to rub a puppy.
X Adam 1 said it was cloudy, but lucked out because 2 seconds a clear patch of sky came across, and 100% for him. I think the most we would have seen was like 20%.
I don't remember what ours was, like 50 or 70 or
80% here, I think.
Whatever it was, it definitely didn't throw out the cool patterns or whatever. I was hoping for that because I'd seen that before in past years or whatever.
And he asked me when I'm coming to Texas. I don't know if or when I will ever come to Texas.
Is that because of fear or hate?
Just it's not in the plans. And he was asking,
I like Texas perfectly fine until I start driving in Texas, and then I start hating Texas more and more. And then by the time I leave Texas, I'm like, fucking, where do they get off having that much of the planet to themselves?
he wants to know FN 502 or MPA Defender 30T as a potential next gun.
No idea what those are.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Well, let me take a look at I'm kind of curious. MP
FN, Giant International Company, Masterpiece Arms. I've done a tour of Masterpiece Arms, though. I like them. They're a cool company.
Oh.
It was almost 10 years ago now, 2018. No, 2000.
Yeah.
More than 20 years ago.
He had, I think on Matt's Discord, he had posted a picture of this. This is the Master Arms. Oh. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Max are one of my favorite guns, but I don't like the 9mm versions, obviously. mainly because that back sticks out so goofy. I like the square look of the 45 and the 380. And I mean, I don't like say Masterpiece Arms is a cool company. I've met them and hung out there, and they are cool. And their company is like they care about their guns. They're putting them together well, so they're well made. And I'm picking that one because I don't even know what that FN is, but it's a 22, and I don't like FN that much. I mean, I don't hate FN. If I had to pick up an FN, I'd take it or whatever, but I don't want to pay for all that. And they're an international company, so it's not even staying here.
Here's the 502. I'm not a huge fan of the FNs. I've only shot a couple of them, and I haven't really liked them.
Okay, it's like Europe guns is like they got too many parts, and you can tell. Like, what do you need all these levers and buttons and stuff for? Come on. It's like they're made by committee, maybe. Like they're trying to appeal to everybody. But the problem is, and we start putting buttons and levers everywhere. Every time you touch your gun, the magazine's falling out of it, or something's staying open, or something's dropping, or. But those 22 and those sights are definitely made for cans, so it's probably a quiet gun.
He has an FN X45 Tactical. Nothing but good things so far. Yeah, the couple that I shot, I don't remember which ones it was, but I mean, I didn't have any problems with it. I just the way the trigger felt kind of weird. I don't know how to describe it because on the trigger pull, it's kind of farther back than everything else. I didn't like the feel of that. I know that's not a helpful description, but I don't know how to describe.
There's more take up for the break.
Well, even
if you think of all the travel, like there's more take up before the break. A lot of them will break right in the middle of the travel, sort of, or the path, or whatever you call it.
It's kind of like that. Not exactly, but kind of like that.
Then you got your mushier, like, you know, like you're pushing a bunch of springs versus like pushing something off a lever or pushing something over a. You know, sometimes you're just moving something, and sometimes you're like pushing a bunch of things. But I can't say that I've shot enough FNs recently enough to know. I mean, they're solid. Nobody complains about them that own them. But it's sort of like, I don't know, like a fancy, like a Porsche or a Ferrari. Nobody that owns them has a problem with them, really. People that don't own them have all kinds of problems with them. But it costs a lot to get into that club. And then once you're in that club, now it costs a lot to get parts.
But I can
do their job.
I didn't like the I forget what the Walther was. Or was it the Walther?
Walther. They're kind of too, and when you're talking like that, there's a difference between like the like a precision gun where you care about accuracy, and then like a gun that you care about if it works or not. And I think that Europe model has that sometimes. Like their issue gun, their duty guns aren't. They're just making them. They're just making guns. Like the trigger's the trigger. Like over here, we care about triggers. Like very few.
Well, I was
trigger.
I was just kind of bringing it up because there was another one. I can't remember what it was. It's a couple of years ago now, but I didn't. Everybody said it was the best trigger. I think it was a striker fired gun, but everybody said it was the best trigger out there, and I didn't like it. And Clover called me crazy for not liking it. I don't remember exactly which one it was.
I can't imagine. The only thing that have you ever shot a Geisley?
No.
Gizzard, you ever shot a AR with a Geisley in it?
I'm thinking I may have.
I mean, A Geisley, you can tell it's like it's a crisp, and it's just like, oh man, like if a regular trigger is like this, you're kind of pulling, and then there's like a thing like a Geisley is, I don't know how to describe it. Like a Geisley is just like, maybe it is like this. Like you just know exactly when it's gonna break, and then like it's super easy to find that spot. So when you got like an AR or some kind of gun that has a magazine in it, you can just, if that's the thing, you can just go pop, 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 pop. You can like just, and with like a regular gun, you have to wait for it to reset or something, and
Yeah.
the quickness of it, and the like just being able to grab the brake and hold on to it and just wiggle right back and forth across the brake of that trigger. And that's probably the design, not just the proportions of the shape, but like the shape, I mean, the proportions of the trigonometry of the thing as it's made, but like the shape of the trigger itself and how it interacts with our fingers. Like a skateboard with grip tape is you'll be able to do better moves on it than a regular skateboard. I think there's probably something there that a Geisley has a couple of things going on with it, but I don't know if you've ever had a chance. And then the thing is, if you shot a Geisley like at a slow range, who cares? Like big whoop, like boom, shooting one bullet at a time is no big deal. But when you can wiggle the trigger, when you're like shooting at steel or something, and you can understand where your hits are hitting, or you're shooting at bottles or something where you're knocking them down, or one of those plates where you got a whole bunch of plates in a row on this thing with a Geisley, like, man, it's just so different being able to just precisely know when your bullet's going to go out compared to a regular, it'll eventually go out. Okay, it's going to go at some point. Like, here comes my bullet, like here one of these days. Where with a Geisley, it's like, do, 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 do. Anyway, so there's that. Like, I definitely know I have shot that. And that was the one time I was like, holy moly, like this, I can understand. And this was at a training class with Steve one time, like a long time with Steve Fisher, and he's super fast shooter. But anyway, so at that thing, just sitting there playing around one day, I was like, okay, now I get what people are talking about, like why this is so much nicer. But with pistols, I just haven't experienced that. I haven't experienced it with pistols, unless you talk like, well, you know what? That's probably what are those things called? 2011s. That's probably why people like those super expensive CZs, and probably like why they like the super expensive 1911s. They probably are experiencing that with their triggers.
The first time I shot a 1911, it was like that, where as soon as I shot it, it's like, okay, I get it now. The feel of the trigger, with the weight, in the 40, being 45, not a lot of recoil.
That probably has something to do with it too, right? Yep.
And I've never shot a Geisley. I have a Timney, which is kind of,
Timneys are similar, but they're just fragiler, so I never got into them. But because they're more for like hunting, but if you're gonna like drop it out of a helicopter, it's gonna break. So
I think
it's probably similar though.
I think we
at least like night day difference between that and a stock.
I think that's on the 350 Legend. I think that's, or was it I don't remember which one I put it on. It's whichever one that we built by committee. Might have been the 450 Bushmaster.
Oh, that one there. You're like, I'm just gonna spend money. You tell me what to buy.
Yeah.
I don't pay attention to those kind of things, but so I don't remember what trigger you put in there. Is that the one you say you put a CMC?
The Timney.
Or Timney, yeah.
Yeah. It was another Aero Precision build. Yes, I am an Aero Precision fanboy.
But I don't even know. I don't have a Geisley in mine. I can't afford that. I just have a regular.
Yeah, that's why I don't have a Geisley.
I mean, I don't mind that they cost.
That's why I have a Timney.
Yeah. Well, Timney's, I just have a regular stock trigger. I don't think I have anything fancy. I just have whatever came with my parts kit, I think.
Yeah, I think everything else, all my other ARs are just basically stock triggers. One is the enhanced, so it's a little more polished. But
Now, if you guys have a preference, straight or curved trigger?
when I bought the Timney, I went with the slightly curved, just because that's, I'm used to a curved trigger, so I kind of stuck with that. I've never, I don't think I've ever shot a straight trigger.
Straight trigger at the range, curved if I'm gonna carry it.
Oh, interesting. I think Steve was getting one of the first times I ever shot a straight trigger on an AR, and it's, I don't know, it's like having, it's just less comfortable, I guess. It's like more, it's like, I don't know how to say it. It's, yeah, I think it's just the way you say it is. It's more like getting work done. It's not like, let's just be comfortable, put your finger here and hang out. It's like, since it's straight, like you're pretty much there to do business. Like it's already almost moving as soon as you stick your finger in there. So real easy to kind of get, I guess, riding that brake. Is that what he said? Crisp wall. Yeah, like crisp wall is a good way to describe it. Like in the straight, I think gives you the control over it versus the grasp of it or whatever with the curve. I guess most of my stuff is curved a little bit, but I can definitely appreciate the flat. At least for speed. I don't know if it's any better for anything else.
Like Adam One said, he likes the CMC 3.5 pound flat triggers.
I figure CMC and Timney are about the same. Like a trigger with a bunch of screws on it to adjust, right?
Oh, so G-Webs, is there anything you would like to plug?
Go to a bin store. They're super fun. If you can find one in your area, check it out. It was like somebody said it was like a swap meet. It was kind of like a swap meet, except like a speed dating version of a swap meet.
Gary, would you like to promote anything?
Well, let's see. Other than the knife videos I put out this week, of course, Foul Territory Friday night at 9 p.m. Central Time. Love to have everybody there. And thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you being here. And thank you to those that were out there in the side chat, the live chat, chatting. And if you were watching and didn't say anything, I appreciate you too. Don't be afraid to speak up. Let me know that you were out there. If you watch this in replay, once again, leave a comment. Anything we talk about, agree with, disagree with. Do you like brass knuckles? What's your favorite trigger? And it's this weekend is an off weekend, so no overnight. So the next chat will be next Wednesday. And I think other than that, once again, just like to say thank you to everybody and hope you have a good rest of the night and have a good tomorrow. Go do something good.